Okay, Smackdown review 530. Man, I'm gonna say SmackDown was mid. I'm not gonna say it was awesome. I'm gonna just have to say it was mid, not lower mid, not upper mid. It was mid for the most part. I can't just give it that upper mid. I can't give it upper mid. I'm gonna say mid. It was a watchable SmackDown. Like I said, if it was 2 hours long, it would be upper mid. It would be if this was 2 hours long, I would give it a B minus. Right now it's a C. SmackDown was watchable for the most part. We started off with a bang because Bianca Belair. She came back. I mean, in her hometown, crazy pop, everything was fire. Then you got Crash Out Naomi come out, and Naomi just like, bro, you're not answering my calls or nothing. And it's crazy. This is how you play out long term storytelling and booking because their story is still fresh. They still have some kind of unresolved conflict, and you know Bianca's family is in the audience. And Bianca, like, look, you did something, you backstabbed one of our friends. So Bianca, like, I can't trust you at all. Like, it's up and it's stuck, pretty much. And Naomi was like, she went to Bianca's house looking for her, and her parents' house and all that. Bianca's like, stay away, blah blah blah. And then Naomi, this is why we like Naomi crash out Naomi. Naomi's like, well, I wouldn't want you to be in a wheelchair like your mama or something. And right there, I think solidified Bianca, Naomi, and Jade have tension and they're no more big three group. But it's more so Jade don't trust Bianca and Naomi. Naomi, don't trust I ain't gonna say trust Jade. Naomi don't like Jade. And now Naomi don't like Bianca. Bianca don't like Naomi now. And Jade is a threat to Bianca's spot. So now we have all three in this position, and people saying they want Bianca's heel turn. I don't think we could get. I think if they wanted to do a Bianca heel turn, they could have just switched places with Naomi and Bianca, and you would have had like Crash Out Bianca. But Naomi is playing that character perfect. I think Bianca's gonna save her heel turn to probably some John Cena type heel turn. Like John Cena turns heel like his last year in WWE. Bianca might turn heel against Jade. We just gonna have to wait and see. We don't know when we getting that no more. I don't know. But that turned into um, a triple threat for the Money in the Bank, Naomi, Jade, and Nia Jax. You have to really think of you just got Naomi, Jade, and Nia Jax in a triple threat match on SmackDown. And this match was hella good. I'm gonna give this match a B. I don't see where this match sucked at all. I'm gonna give it a B. I can't give it an A because if this was on like a PLE and they showed out and I can't give it the A because there's no story attached to this match. This is just a qualifying match that ended up being good. So I'm gonna give it a B. That match was good and Naomi won. I honestly thought Jade was getting the Money in the Bank. Maybe it's too early for that. Maybe they're gonna do I don't know what they're gonna do with Jade, but Jade wants Tiffany's belt. Everybody wants Tiffany's belt. Um, Maybe we might get Jade and Bianca start heating up or something. Honestly, I want Naomi to win this Money in the Bank. Then we go next to our Truth versus, you know, JC Mateo. Now, watching this, I had no clue that this may be our Truth's last match. And it was awesome that our Truth came out to his music, What's Up, and not that John Cena stuff he had did. And our Truth was more so, just himself. He wasn't, he kind of did the little John Cena move set, you know, but our Truth was for the most part, just himself. I'm sad he lost, but I mean that's what you know our Truth's job is to job out, and he entertained while he jobbed out. Now what's next is what I don't like. The Wyatt Six, they're terrorizing the tag team division. Why? Why is the Wyatt Six terrorizing the tag team division? Triple H has no idea what to do with the Wyatt Six. You just got the Street Profits over as hell. The tag team division is booming on SmackDown. Why are you throwing the Wyatt Six with no story to terrorize the tag team division? The tag team division on SmackDown would kick the Wyatt Six's ass all the time. You're basically turning all of the tag teams against the Wyatt Six. Like that is just dumb. It's dumb. They're ruining the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six are going to be so irrelevant in the next year. Is this how they were going to book Bret Wyatt? You know what I'm saying? If Bret Wyatt was here, what would he be doing? Uncle Howdy doesn't need to really be on SmackDown. I would have kept them on Raw because you have heel factions on Raw, like the New Day and the Judgment Day, that needs to be haunted. You have American Made that needs to be dealt with. They're doing heelish stuff. We enjoy the SmackDown tag team. They just did a TLC match that was awesome. They got over. Now they're getting jobbed out to the Wyatt Six. No one wants to see the Street Profits lose to the Wyatt Six. We don't want to see that. DIY, Fraxium, they're all, they're doing fine. We watch them do the tag team stuff. They doing some cool moves. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns could beat the Wyatt Six. Fraxium could beat the Wyatt Six. Y'all are just, like I say, terrorizing the Wyatt Six. And honestly, all the tag teams need to come together and get rid of the Wyatt Six and move the Wyatt Six to NXT. Because Uncle Howdy, you telling me Uncle Howdy is gonna somehow compete on the mid card on SmackDown? Carmelo Hayes would destroy Uncle Howdy. Aleister Black would destroy Uncle Howdy. I mean, who else? Who else? Jacob Fatu, LA Knight. Shinsuke Nakamura would destroy Uncle Howdy. Y'all ruined the Wyatt Six debut. They should have stayed on Raw. That's all I'm saying. Because you could have made us believe Chad Gable was so scared of him that he was losing. Like, I mean, they don't need to be terrorizing the SmackDown division. I gotta get off of that. Then you have Ray Phoenix, Javon Evans versus Los Guerreros. I'm probably saying that wrong, but okay, B plus match, B plus match. I can't I can't just give it the A plus. I can't give it the A plus because we need story. We need story, but this was a B plus match. You know, Javon Evans. You basically proved yourself that you could come to the main roster on SmackDown. Give us Javon. Let Javon Evans finish up his NXT feud and all of that stuff after World Collide. Throw him in the Raw Rumble. Let him do some cool shit. He might be the new Kofi Kingston s type wrestler that's going to establish itself, in the next few years on the main roster. Push, push Carmelo Hayes up into that where LA Knight sort of is lingering. I think LA Knight moving up to the main. Carmelo Hayes, I would move Carmelo Hayes to Raw, and I would put Javon Evans on SmackDown. B plus match. Ray Phoenix showed out. Javon Evans showed out. Ray Phoenix and Javon Evans was like a lower tier Lucha Bros, honestly. B plus match. B plus. Zelina Vega versus Ava Fire. This match has some story, but the match sucks. And Zelina Vega, everyone's rooting for her, but I'm not gonna say she's dropping the ball, but the hype isn't matching up. The crazy part, Zelina Vega does need better intro music. Please, Metro Boomin, you know, give her some new music if they think. I see a lot of people complaining that put rock back in WWE. You can put rock in the WWE. You can put hip hop in the WWE. You can put electronic dance music in the WWE. You can put country and all kind of stuff in the WWE. Stop. You can have WWE can have in-house producers. Okay, you can have in-house producers. Metro Boomin don't know anything about country rock and all that, but you can have Metro Boomin license to do intro music for certain superstars. You can also have some people, if they want rock music or if that's what creators think, give them rock music. Zelina Vega could come out to some better music than that. It doesn't even match her vibe. She was Queen Zelina. Like, go back to that. Like, I have no idea, but you can use all types of genres of music with wrestling. That's all I'm gonna say. But that match, C, C minus, C minus. Damian Priest coming out to warn Jacob Fatu. Damian Priest, you will get jobbed out to Jacob Fatu in the future. Waste of a segment. Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and Jacob Fatu. B plus match again. Almost A. Like, it's almost an A. And like I said, I just can't give it the A because it doesn't have a story behind it. But B plus. I might make my overall rating to upper mid card for SmackDown. But next, we had the Cody Rhodes and John Cena Logan Paul. And the segment was alright. Logan Paul showed his mic skills. Logan Paul actually showed better mic skills than Logan Paul showed better mic skills than Jey Uso. Jey Uso, if you watch the segment, he ain't said nothing but them little 4 words. He came out, did his little intro music. Jey Uso is done. Jay Uso is in a main event with Cody, Cena, Logan Paul, and he's looking like the least favorite right now. That's gonna get you over. Your mic skills gets you over. That's how you connect with the fans. That's why Gunther isn't over with the fans because he can't cut a decent promo. He's almost like William Regal on the mic. Like, man, if you gave Jay Uso not Jay Uso, you gave Gunther like a Paul Heyman or some good manager, it's over. Or you could let Gunther start terrorizing people on the mic. Write some stuff for Gunther. You know, Same thing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns had to get over on that mic. Roman Reigns could not just go 4 years straight champion and not have mic skills. It wasn't going to happen. Cody has some mic skills just because he's been in this industry so long, and he had to get fired. He had to do stuff with AEW. Cody been through enough to get by. John Cena is a beast on the mic. WWE, I feel like, is holding him back with this heel turn, creative wise. So John Cena's doing the best he could. Logan Paul is really the only one that has something to prove, and dealing with YouTube, public speaking, and trash talking and podcasting. Logan Paul is good on the mic too. Jey Uso, you've been in WWE since like what, 2014, 2013? Like, the Yeet stuff is going to die just like the Naomi Glow stuff. People love that Naomi Glow stuff for about 2 to 3 years and then got tired of it. But she had good entrance music, she had good effects and stuff. Yeah, people sick and tired of you running back that your theme music. Like they really getting worn out. But this segment right here, I'm gonna give it a C. I'm gonna give it a C. I would give it a B, but with SmackDown being 3 hours, by the time you get to the segment, you like, God, that was trash. It probably would have been a B segment if it was first or higher on the card or something. But man, by the time you got to it, you was falling asleep going into that segment. So SmackDown, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna give this SmackDown honestly a B minus because of the matches were good. They had two segments, two segments that were trash. Zelina Vega match wasn't all that. That kept it from the B plus. B plus is me being gracious because I know this era of wrestling is garbage. This era is trash. And when we get some good stuff here and there, I'm gonna have to praise it. So I'm gonna give it a B plus. Last thing I want to say, I hope Naomi wins Money in the Bank. Raw coming up. Stephanie is supposed to be in a qualifying match. Do you put her in a ladder match already? Money in the Bank already. It's crazy if they do that. Liv may win, but Liv is like, I could see Liv winning just to get in that Money in the Bank and have an issue with Roxanne. Putting Stephanie in the Money in the Bank, I mean, you putting Julia in there, but I mean, Stephanie and Julia are world class wrestlers. Simple, WWE fans, casual fans, not gonna know that, so they can handle themselves in a ladder match. But that's just something we're gonna have to watch Raw for. But overall, SmackDown, I'm gonna give it the B minus. I'm gonna give it the B minus. Looking at qualifying matches, Bianca's return, Naomi Crash Out return. Talking about Bianca's mom, which is wild. Everybody in the audience was like, "Ooh, you know, B minus SmackDown, upper mid." I ain't giving it an A for awesome, upper mid. If we get more SmackDowns like this, we're going in the right direction. You know, and everybody go to our Truth Twitter and Instagram and sing congratulations. Peace.